Next talk is by Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Pradeep Kumar, who's an associate professor of ophthalmology at and Command Hospital, Chandi Mandir, Panchkula. And his areas of interest also include retinal imaging, macular surgery, and pachychoroid. And over to you, sir. I'll just stop sharing my screen. I
Yeah,
will be speaking on corticosteroids in CNV.
a very good afternoon to all my esteemed teachers and colleagues. Firstly, I'll thank Chandigarh Ophthalmic Society and Professor Vishali Gupta for giving me this opportunity to speak here. I'll be talking about a slightly controversial topic, that is steroids in neovascular AMD. I don't have any financial ties being a government doctor. The initial evidence started coming up as early as 2003 when we saw the interest in triamcinolone, which was being used in the rat models by Ciula et al. And they showed that CNV could be treated experimentally induced by laser and then with triamcinolone. They found later on the work of Jonas continued, who experimented with 25 and 20 milligram dose in patients with choroidal neovascular membrane. This was the era when we were mostly treating our patients with laser therapy, and this was a new thing to deal with. By 2007, we had Indian publications talking about the role of combined steroids with photodynamic therapy. And again, the agent of choice was triamcinolone acetonide. The entry of anti-VEGF changed the scenario, becoming the gold standard over a period of time. But still, we continue to see the usage of combination steroids, especially dexamethasone. And one very important study came from Bakri et al., where they used the dose of 200 microgram commercially available dexamethasone used for intravenous use in their study. I'll come to this point later in my study why it's important. By 2013, we had 1,503 publications talking about anti-angiogenesis and periocular and intraocular steroids, but the role remained unclear. And the LucidX study also failed to show any promising results. So where were we? Before the Ozurdex came on scene, that the role of steroids was unclear, but dexamethasone dosing was possible using a 200 microgram dose. With coming of Ozurdex implant, propelled by financial interest and also being safe as declared by FDA, people started using it in their patients of choroidal neovascular membranes. And Calvo et al. In 7 patients found that it reduced the need for reinjection. But a major study by Kupperman et al., which was a multicentric study in 123 eyes, showed that Ozurdex did, in practical world, reduce the need for ranibizumab injections. To bring out, they were using this in all kinds of neovascular AMD patients, compared to the resistant CNV, where we have limited our usage of steroids nowadays. They found that in the 75th percentile of patients, they were able to go from 56 to 85 days re-injection interval. So where all do you think we were supposed to use these steroids? The answers were provided by ORA study and Barikian et al. Though ORA study did not find a difference between ranibizumab monotherapy and combination therapy, Barikian et al. Found that in cases of resistant CNV, they defined resistance as a patient who had mandatorily received 3 bevacizumab followed by 3 ranibizumab injections and still had persistent fluid. They found that the intraretinal fluid responded, but the subretinal fluid did not. And this became the key point in managing choroidal neovascular membrane steroid, that the intraretinal fluid responds while the subretinal does not. It has been used for resistant edema since then in multiple trials by the group of Sandra Rizzo-Greidel, who used it for 40 eyes, comparing over 12 months. They found that only the anatomical changes were improving, but the visual outcomes were not. And Todorich et al. Used it in resistant cases who had, on an average, received 26.3 injections, and again reported that there was anatomic success, which was seen more when the combined therapy was introduced early in in the disease. And in patients who had already received 40, 45 injections, even steroids did not help much. So why were the steroids working? Again, the group of Sandra Razor et al., they found out that if we took out the samples from aqueous humor at baseline and at each retreatment, in 3 study groups, they had a control group, sorry for the crowded slide, a control group, the neovascular AMD group, which was treated with monotherapy and combined therapy. All these inflammatory chemokines, they were increased compared to the control groups in both the CNV groups. On treatment with steroids, the inflammatory proteins were reducing in these CNV groups. However, clinically, there were no difference in the functional and anatomical outcome of the disease. So 2 contradictory statements from a study. Dexamethasone continues to be used. People have said in large papers that it is feasible to use it for CNV. And all the studies till now had been on resistant disease, which showed no change in visual outcome except this 2018 study of 136 eyes, which had a not so robust design of the study, where they said that after using triamcinolone 4 milligrams, there was better BCVA and OCT picture. So what does the evidence say till now? That there is a role of steroids in resistant neovascular AMD as an adjunct. It works on intraretinal fluid, not on subretinal fluid. And we have different modalities of using steroid as an implant, as 200 microgram dose, or as triamcinolone 4 milligram. So there was a knowledge gap which we needed to answer. So was Ozurdex implant the only way of delivering steroid? The answer was no, as had been provided by previous earlier and the 2009 study of Bakri et al. We can use 0.05 ml of commercially available dexamethasone also. And what happened if we used dexamethasone in fresh cases? We did not have an answer to that. We knew that ellipsoid damage occurs more due to intraretinal fluid, so it is important to target this intraretinal fluid as early as possible. And to use it as monotherapy, well, that needs to be answered in the longer run. And the side effects need to be charted out. So I present my very short experience of 3 years being in Chandigarh. We had a retrospective analysis of patients in whom, when we felt that there was need of adjunct steroids, we compiled their data and compared them to 24 similar controls. We used the commercially available preparation, 200 microgram in 0.05 ml, along with Lucentis. And we realized that there was faster resolution of fluid, there was more complete resolution of fluid, and the re-injection interval increased. The visual outcomes did not change much still, even though I was not only using it for resistant disease, we were using it for fresh cases also. So coming to when you want to choose, this is a typical case where it's a no-brainer that you're only going to use a monotherapy. Since there is no intraretinal fluid, it's only chiefly the subretinal and the sub-RP fluid that you're targeting. And then there were such cases where you don't even need to go to the OCT. You see this large hemorrhage clinically and you choose a monotherapy. But then come these cases where there's a middle ground. When you realize there's a subretinal component, there is an intraretinal component, the fluid is there. And then you have patients like this, where there are large cystic spaces intraretinally. These are the patients where we recommend that, yes, adjuvant role of dexamethasone exists. There have been other papers which talk about the anti-inflammatory therapy in choroidal neovascular membrane. One of these studies are already mentioned in the presentation. And people are now trying to redesign their approaches by using PDMS layers, which will release dexamethasone over a period of time, and using nanoparticles. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.